is the Aqua Sensory Podcast. I'm your host, Jo Wilson. In this show, you will learn all about sensory harmony in water for babies and the early years. Because when we grow to love, connect and respect water, learning follows naturally.
Thank you so much for having me on. I absolutely love what you do. It's been so wonderful connecting with you. And I think we have so many similarities in the work that we do, because everything, like you say, that makes up your work around the water, so much of it, your perspective takes that glance where you look at it from the emotional well-being point of view. And looking at the babies and mums and parents' nervous systems. And that just aligns massively with the work that I do, because I truly believe that we live our life through the lens of our nervous system. So that forms, a huge part of the work that I do.
Yeah, no, it's nice. And some of our favourite practices is creating that balance and flow in the pool, and having much more awareness of our nervous systems and how we need to be regulated. We have a beautiful breath practice where we're either being grounded with our feet on the pool floor or our back on the pool wall, and really just being aware, not trying to change our breath, but just being aware of our breath and our little ones too. But what's your sort of favorite practices that we could perhaps bring in the water to nurture our nervous systems and be more aware of our breath?
So this is a really great question. And, I think it very much depends on the state of your own nervous system initially. So we have different states that our nervous system can be in. So one of those states is hyperarousal and the other state is hypoarousal. So depending on how our nervous system is presenting, we can use different practices that can really nourish and soothe and support the nervous system. So if, for example, you have a parent getting into the water who is feeling with their baby, who is feeling anxious or on edge, or had had a bad morning, feeling quite reactive and stressed out, then these are all signs that their nervous system is in a state of hyperarousal. So what we want to encourage then are practices that really work to calm the nervous system down, activate the vagus nerve, which really helps to stimulate the relaxation response and get those lovely endorphins and relaxation chemicals flowing through the body, which naturally then flow into baby as well. So for that, I would suggest a really calming breath, a really calming practice, feet grounded on the floor, and just a gentle breath in through the nose to a count of either 3 or 4, and then an extended exhalation. So breathing out through the nose or mouth to a count of around 6 or 8. So what you're doing is lengthening the exhale to really stimulate the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system, which just works to calm everything down. And I think that can be so useful when you are with your baby and when you're entering into the pool, and like if you've had a stressful morning, to be able just to ground, connect and calm yourself, that can be really supportive. But then on the other hand, if you have a parent that's getting into the water and maybe they're feeling shut down or withdrawn or feeling quite numb or isolated, depressed and flat, maybe these feelings are going on for them internally, this can actually be a sign that their nervous system is in a state of hypoarousal. So actually a practice that can work to activate their nervous system can be so supportive and so nourishing, because what we're actually doing, we're wanting to bring ourselves into our bodies. So by using the breath to really engage and connect with the body, it can help to just reconnect you to yourself and bring you out of that state of hypoarousal. So for that, engaging in a quicker and more active breath pattern. So one of my favorites for that is something called the sniff, sniff, sigh, or espresso breathing. And it's essentially a 2-part inhale where you breathe into your belly, into your chest, and then you just sigh it out through your mouth. But it's a quicker and more active breath. So it's a sniff, sniff, and then you sigh. And I would repeat that like 5 or 6 times just to really energize, activate the body. And you're actually pushing it slightly into a sympathetic state, but that is waking the body up. And that can be equally nourishing and nurturing. So it's there's different ways that you can work to support the nervous system depending on the state of a person's nervous system.
Oh wow, that's amazing, because I do think that I automatically take people into a more calming, relaxed position in the pool, and forget sometimes that yes, you know, sometimes it's nice to add in a little bit more energy and a little bit more excitement as well, so that you know we can almost feel in and tune into the class and think to ourselves, well, what does it need today, as a collective, rather than obviously it's nice if it's one-to-one as well. If we're doing adults one-to-one, we can really extend that, but as a collective in the class, definitely I tend to just almost bring it down. But you're right, you know, sometimes it's good to have that other
because regulate, if we think about what the key is to regulate the nervous system, in order to regulate the nervous system, we need to look at ways to down regulate, but also up regulate depending on the state of someone's individual nervous system. But like you in the beginning, before I knew everything that I knew now, I was doing exactly the same thing. I would use the breath as a tool to calm the nervous system, even in my own life. And it was only when, as my personal journey with the breath evolved, and I found myself in a free state for a period of time, and the calming techniques were not working for me. So when I started to engage in the more active patterns, that's just what led me to really want to explore and understand the breath more.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think naturally as teachers, we do have moments in the class where it can feel a little bit flat, shall we say. So to add in that little bit. And I love when you were saying about the breath, because I can actually really then feel into the visualization of even like the water moving as well, and using the breath in the water and gaining that feedback. So that could be, you know, through the bubbles or just chin on the water and just visualizing. So getting you're almost like more sensory experiences, really.
That's it. And if you think you know, I said earlier, we live our life through the lens of our nervous system, but we're taking everything in through our senses. That's what, like, our nervous system is taking everything in through our 5 senses, and then that's sending the signals to the brain. So if we can look to be using the breath as an anchor, but then also layering that on top with other sensory sensory tools, using like movement and just thinking about the different ways we can nourish our senses, that's also going to support our nervous system and the regulation of our nervous system and how we feel internally.
Yeah, because I think it's worth just mentioning as well with our babies, a lot of the time there is quite a lot of heavy load on babies, and we've almost got to be in a position of almost self-soothing themselves or regulating themselves. But it's just a reminder that they're borrowing our nervous system, aren't they? It's co-regulation. So that's almost like more importance that we are in a regulated state for our children and our babies as well.
100%. And this is a huge lesson that I've come to learn in my own life, and it's something I love to share with others. It is the impact that our own nervous system can have on our babies and on our children, and just the power in learning how to regulate our own internal world, our own system, because our children's nervous system is a blueprint of ours. Like we mirror each other. So it's really interesting to see how that can play out. And definitely using co-regulation in the water through the breath and touch and the other sensory means, it's just so powerful, which is why the work that you do is just absolutely amazing and so needed, like beyond the surface level of what maybe people think that water and baby classes are. It's like, actually, if you go beyond and look at and this is what I love about what you do, you focus on the core, the emotional side of it, which is just amazing.
Yeah, connection and belonging and bringing people together. And there is a real deeper sense to focus, as you say. The sort of surface level is, yes, we're guiding babies in the water, and ultimately when they're connected to the water they'll learn to swim, but really as a collective bringing us back to ourselves and back to our children and back to the water, really. So we're in a really respectful place, because I think our world sometimes forgets it's the simple things, really, isn't it? And stillness really we need to be a little bit more still in our world. And I think for swimming, you need to have that float, you need to be still, but we are so busy, aren't we? Busy in our minds, busy in our bodies. But you often talk about how stillness is such a beautiful place to be as well.
100%. Like, at the end of the day, like I always say, we're human beings, not human doings. So we've even got that word "be" within the title of who we are. And I just think we are designed to be more often, but we just get caught up doing so much because of a number of different things, the world we live in, the conditioning, the technological advances, everything that's going on in our world. But ultimately, when you strip everything back, like, our minds, our bodies, our nervous systems are not wired to live in such a fast-paced digital world. So now more than ever, I'm advocating for more stillness and bringing in a practice of stillness into our lives, into our everyday, because we need it. Our minds, our bodies, and our hearts need it in order to stay connected to ourselves. Yeah, it's so important.
And I think the water can offer that stillness. And
Definitely.
it is a place, if you think, it's like no distractions. I think we often just, think, oh yeah, it's for swimming, but actually you can't bring your phone in. And if you can really use your mind as well and really bring that into focus of, as you say, all the senses in the pool, again, it's a break, isn't it? It's a brain break from that busyness of our world. And that's so important as well, really.
Definitely. Yeah, I think the water is just a beautiful place, like you say, for switching off and bringing yourself into that present moment, but just also in just the gift that water brings. You can't help but not really feel into that stillness as you just pause and allow your body to be in the water. It's just a magical connection.
Immersive. You mentioned here about the vagus nerve as well.
So the vagus nerve is like I call it the queen of the PNS, so the queen of the parasympathetic branch of our nervous system. It's called the wandering nerve, but essentially it's one of the most important nerves in the whole body. And a lot of people don't even know what it is. But the vagus nerve is responsible for so many critical functions within our body, like the way it supports our heart rate, our breath, digestion. Our vagus nerve affects everything, like in the mind and the body, and it runs all the way down, and it's constantly sending messages from the brain to the body, from the body to the brain. And so learning how to bring in practices that support our nerve, support with activating the vagus nerve is going to allow us to support the health of our nervous system and help us to feel more connected, more safe, I'm feeling to more love and peace and joy and all of those beautiful emotions that we all want to experience more of. So the vagus nerve is the key. Access that, activate that, and it's really supportive.
Yeah, and with my limited knowledge about the vagus nerve, I know that water's touch, and that is overlaying really loving, nurturing touch, and positions perhaps like our babies love naturally to be in their mummy's arms or in a tiger in the tree, and that will sort of expose maybe more nurturing touch to the back, say, for example, or across the cheeks, which is really nice.
And that's all stimulating the nerve endings, and the nerve endings that will be activating and sending messages to the vagus nerve. So it's all that there are a range of different ways that you can stimulate the vagus nerve, and touch and light touch massage and through the water. They're all amazing ways to do that.
Oh, lovely. So if we've had a bit of a busy morning as teachers and we come to the pool and just things aren't quite right, or maybe we've had a real busy week and we've just got to bring ourselves back into ourselves, and we want to be really clear with our teaching messages, have you got any advice that perhaps we could practice, a really small practice that doesn't take a lot of time, maybe sitting 2, 3, 5 minutes on the poolside, that will really help and just as I say, sort of bring us into ourselves, regulate ourselves, so we're really ready for success for us.
Yeah, so I always really encourage things called circuit breakers,
Mm-hmm.
and essentially that's a circuit breaker is used at any point where you want to break up any emotional pattern or how you might be feeling and shift into a new one. So a really lovely circuit breaker that you can do is just before you're getting ready to teach is take a moment to ground both of your feet on the floor, bring your hands up over your heart space, and just begin to close your eyes down and bring your awareness to your breath. And the first thing you can do is just start to breathe and notice your breath. So that's one of the things I love, like in terms of bringing us into the present moment. Just start to bring your awareness to your breath, because it will do that. And then you just ask yourself, okay, how am I feeling? You want to create that awareness first and acknowledge how you are feeling and really honor that first before we then start to shift. So you ground yourself in, take a few mindful breaths, and then just ask, okay, how am I feeling right now? And then you ask the most empowering question, which is, how do I want to feel? I think we often forget that we have a choice and that we can break out of these default emotional patterns that we get caught in, but we need to be consciously aware and ask ourselves if we want to do that. So I always ask, how do I feel right now? Okay, honor that. How do I want to feel? And then what can I do to bring me into that state? So it's really about listening to what your individual needs are, what your body wants. And if it is I'm mega stressed and I really want to calm my nervous system down, then a really simple breathwork practice is the physiological sigh. And so it's just a nice big breath in through your nose, and you just imagine drawing air all the way up, and then you just do a big sigh out. So what you're doing is just clearing stagnant energy out of the body. So it's a real big in, you just sigh and let it away, and just do that 3 times, and just notice the shift in doing that. Because the thing is, our physiology is interconnected to our psychology and vice versa, and people don't often realize that connection. But the minute you start engaging and shifting your physiology, you can't help but not shift your psychology. Wow. So that can be really empowering. If you've tuned in and you've checked in, I feel really flat and I need some energy, then espresso breathing is one of my absolute faves. And I would do 10 rounds of that, but I'd bring in some movement with it and some shaking of the arms. So I would be doing a sniff, sniff, sigh. So as you're sniffing, just shake your arms out. As you're sniffing again, shake your arms up, and then just sigh out, drop your arms, and just do that 10 times. And just again, tune in, feel that buzz within your body, because the breath has the power to shift the way you feel. So that's just 2 really easy. And I do this all the time before I'm doing anything, before I'm picking my children up from school, before I'm sitting down to start my day at work. Any moment where I'm thinking, I need to shift out of how I'm feeling right now, get into another state. And it is so, so empowering to realize that we can do that. I don't know about you, but I think it's so easy to think that we get stuck in these habitual patterns, but we can break free.
And I love the way that you had a choice. When you were talking as well, I was thinking, I could definitely bring that into my one-to-ones as well, and I would have adults on the side, and we could do it together as well. 100%. And I love the way, what would they like today? So again, it's not just our set default lesson plans. We're listening to them, we're tuning into them, and tapping into what they need today. And then before they get into the pool, or actually they could be in the water as well, and then we're going to be able to deliver that lesson to meet their needs rather than ours. Really,
definitely. I love that.
And I think the kiddies as well would love the sniff, sniff, shake, and I can see that again in the water. So nice, isn't it, that they have their own tools.
And totally, you can really have lots of fun with the breath and movement and bringing it into with children. Absolutely.
Oh, perfect. Where can we find out more? I love all your work, and it's not just about breath, is it? It's not just about You talk a lot about finding purpose as well, and soul purpose. We're all here for a reason. I can always say, I know that there was such a draw for me. It was almost like my life was going in one direction, which was really corporate. And I had a massive moment in my life that I felt like I really wanted that and needed it, but it didn't feel quite an alignment. So the universe had this way of like shifting me, making me redundant on maternity leave, to say, no, you know, you want that path. I keep trying to give you these signs, you're not listening. So I'm now taking the foundation away, because you are going to find out. And it was like, of course it was there. I was doing baby swimming, and it was like, yeah, and it just, everything then fell in place. So knowing that I'm here for families, nurturing through the water. You talk a lot about people really finding their soul purpose, don't they? So if they are a little bit out of alignment,
so alongside teaching breathwork, I am a soulful life coach as well, and I'm so passionate about helping others to heal into wholeness, find their soul purpose, and just live a life with deep meaning and fulfillment. And I think one of the ways to really access that deep meaning and fulfillment is through living out our ultimate, what we feel is our soul purpose in life. So I support my clients in a number of different ways, and I also train up others as well to teach breathwork and to train as holistic life coaches as well. So there's lots happening, but I just, like you, feel so deeply blessed to do work that really does just feel like I was put on this earth to do. So it's a really beautiful feeling.
Definitely, because you're connecting heart-led leaders, and we always say at Aquasensory we swim from the heart. So I'm sure that there's lots of people listening in that it's going to resonate with and go, that's what I want to find out more about.
That would be lovely. Because I just align with everything that you do. I just think it is beautiful, and you have something really special, Jo, and I just feel so blessed to be here alongside you. I'm cheering you on, and just loving everything about what you do.
Thank you. No, likewise. It's nice that we are, really just helping others to find themselves. Obviously yours is through a number of ways, and mine's with the water. So amazing. Thank you so much. And
you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Aquasensory Way. It's so nice to have you here tuning in today. Let's connect again soon. I'd love you to find out more about creating sensory harmony in water. Come and join us on our socials and in our community Facebook group, Aquasensory Connections.